This is our basic model for operations management. We have an input, a transformation, and an output. It's an input-output model. Whatever we do, whatever we think about, we say there are inputs, there's some form of process undertaken, a transformation, and then the process leads to an output. All operations are input, transformation, output processes. This is our simple system. Now Ashby modelled this. He said our input is a disturbance that acts on our transformation activities, which creates our output, our outcome. He labels these D, T and E. Now the disturbance is somehow regulated, and this acts on our transformation. The regulator is controlled by controller C. Let's explain what Ashby meant using my very simple example. Here we have our disturbance, here we have our transformation, here we have our output. In this case we're modelling temperature in your home. So the disturbance is it gets cold outside. The process, the transformation, is actually happening in your heating system, and normally when it gets cold outside your heating will come on and warm your home up. The outcome is how happy you are or not about the temperature in your house. The regulator in this case is your thermostat in the home. Now you control the thermostat to make it hotter or colder depending on its reaction to the disturbance, the change in temperature. So Ashby's Law of Requisite Variety states the number of outcomes must equal the number of demands. So in our image here we can see we've got a number of demands, demand 1, demand 2, up to demand n. And we've got a number of responses, response 1, response 2, up to response n. Now demand 1 may give us response 1, response 2, response n. So that gives us an outcome Z1 1, Z2 1, Z whatever. Demand 2 gives us response 1, response 2, depending on whatever response you get. Every time you put a new demand, you might get a new response, because the number of demands will equal the number of responses. If you think about this in terms of a firm, if somebody's coming in and asking you to do something, you may or may not have a response prepared for it. If it's a response, you go into a shoe shop, you ask for shoes, they have them, they respond accordingly, you get the shoes you want. If you go in and ask for something they maybe don't have, or you want them to customize something for you, they then have to decide whether or not to respond positively or negatively. Either way, you get a response. The more responses you get tends to drive up the cost, because you're responding to customer demand. So really what you want to do is try and limit the demands to the responses that you have a positive outcome for. And you can do this by talking to your customers, interacting with them such that the responses that you give equal demands that they place upon you. So let's assume you're in business. Your business makes mainly green leather school bags, but customers always want brown. What are your options? Well, you could ignore the request. So the demand is, we'd like a brown bag please. Your response is, we're not doing that. It could work, you could go out of business. You could try and attenuate variety demanded. That means you could market green as being cool. You could price green lower than any other bag. You could try and push green as the thing to have. In that respect, you're attenuating variety demanded. You could try and amplify your variety offered, redesign our processes so we could offer all the colours that people want. There are costs and strategic decisions to make here.